Oh, hello, and welcome back to the Beautifully Aligned podcast. I'm so happy that you are here today. My name is Lynn Ford. I am the host of this podcast, and I am a certified life coach. I am also obviously a podcaster, a blogger, a sometimes YouTuber. I put these episodes up on my YouTube channel. And in this new year, 2024, can you believe it? I will be posting more fun, lifestyle content in addition to these podcast episodes. So think like styling videos, beauty, wellness, curating your environment, all of those fun things that we talk about here on the podcast, but just a little bit more, I don't know if I want to say casual, but just more like vloggy, YouTube, casual style, if that makes sense. So if you are not subscribed on YouTube, please subscribe. I will leave a link in the show notes. And that reminds me, I paused because I'm in the middle of this kind of rebrand right now. I can't remember if I've talked about it on the podcast or just on Instagram, but I had a blog called All Gussied Up that I had for how long? 10 plus years. And, I originally started it in 2009, but that wasn't the title. And the blog it evolved from style, and then it became more lifestyle, like beauty, wellness. And then I went on this self-development journey, I would say over the last 12 plus years, and became a life coach in 2023. I did my training and I graduated and I got my certification. And so it was a little bit awkward to be blogging on that blog and then have this podcast called something different. And it just became confusing to me. So it was probably confusing to you if you followed me in those various places. So now what I'm doing is merging everything together, all of my passions, my purpose, which hint, hint, is the topic of today's episode. I'm sure you know because you've seen the title, but I am merging it all, like my essence, my passions, everything that I want to share with you that I think you will find valuable if you're into this kind of stuff, if you're into self-development, if you are into style, if you are into bettering yourself, just becoming the most up-leveled version of yourself on your self-development journey, then this brand is for you. So I will be launching a brand new website, which will still have blog content very similar to what it was on All Gussied Up. I think the site is still up, but it's not being updated. So it will still have the blog post, but it'll have so much more too. I will be offering programs for you, free things to download to elevate everything I just talked about, your self-development journey, your style, your wellness, your identity, all of the things. It's just going to be in one place. So I am so excited to bring that to you. It should be done this week. So follow me on Instagram if you want to follow along with that whole thing. Sorry I went on this long tangent, but I think I want to be a little bit more chatty. I know I share personal things here, but it's good to catch up and just good to connect and get to know the person that is talking at you for 30 plus minutes once a week. So hopefully you don't mind my casual chatter. So the topic of today's episode, like I said, is purpose and finding your purpose. And this is such a huge, loaded topic. And maybe you know what your purpose is. I still encourage you to listen to this episode because I have some fun little things sprinkled in to maybe add in, like just add some elements into your purpose. Maybe think about your purpose and maybe you want to revise it a little bit. Or maybe you have no freaking clue what your purpose is. And also, I just want to say, purpose means something different to different people. So some people say their purpose gives them meaning in life. Some people think about purpose more in the spiritual sense. Some people think about purpose in what they do career-wise. And I, in my coaching training, like my professional opinion, but also my personal opinion, because I applied what I learned to develop my purpose. And I already kind of knew what it was, but going through coaching really, really helped me identify what my purpose is. So, in my opinion, your purpose encompasses 3 different aspects that are more or less balanced, right? They're not all going to be perfectly balanced all of the time to get your purpose, but I'm going to share what those 3 areas are. And we're going to give some examples, all of that. I have a formula for you to do to just plug and play with your purpose. So that's exciting too. And then I also have a kind of like a quiz that I'll be giving away. Actually, I'll just tell you now. So if you want to start just kind of figuring out your purpose and seeing where you're at with what your purpose is, maybe you've never written it down, like, or even thought about it. I'm going to give you a quiz that is a free download. So the link will be in the show notes. Just click the link, put your email in, and I will automatically send you this download. And it will tell you like your purpose thermostat, like you are at 100%, you know what your purpose is. So it's really cool and fun. And it will also include the formula for you to plug and play. So you don't have to write this down. You can go ahead and download that. Okay. So anyway, like I said, purpose means something different to everyone. And I remember, like, I think back to high school, and at that time, that's a time for a lot of people where you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. You're thinking about maybe school, like, where am I going to go to school? What do I want to do? What's my career going to be? And it's like, who am I? That's the first time I really started to think about, who am I? And it's interesting because when I think back, every single aspect of my purpose now was there then. But it took some refining, it took some identity work to just upgrade it and really figure it out. It also required me to get really confident with my beliefs. And what I mean by that, and maybe this will help you, is maybe you think you're not really sure like what it is that you want, but that might be the fact that it's more about you not believing you can have what it is that you really want, or who it is that you want to be, or whatever it is, because you think it's just too far out of reach. So your beliefs are off. And I definitely had that for a very long time. So a lot of times we'll just ignore our desires, our dreams, what it is that we truly feel is maybe in alignment for us, because we feel that it's just impossible to do. Like, oh, I can't do that. Whether you're telling yourself you don't have the talent, you don't have enough money, you are not smart enough, you're bad at math, whatever it is, whatever that belief is, we just feel sometimes like we're not worthy of it. So, and then we just settle, right? Settle for the status quo. And you've all heard probably that term, that in this scenario, we settle for life happening to us and not for us. I think the first person I heard share that was Ed Milet. I love Ed Milet. So the power of purpose is the driving force behind creating value in the world and in our own lives. So really working through those beliefs is huge, huge, huge. And that is something that can be done. That the best place, in my opinion, to work on your beliefs is in coaching, because a certified coach can help you overcome limiting beliefs, establish your true core values and beliefs, and then therefore create action around what those beliefs are to become the person it is that you want to be. Okay, pausing here just for a second, because you might be wondering what my purpose is. And I'm going to share a snippet of it. This is not my entire purpose, but part of my purpose is to help you find yours. And that is why I do what I do. So I am so passionate about this, and I am just fired up talking about this. It excites me. I really hope that this helps you. And I feel like who it is that's meant to hear this is going to receive this, and it's going to be so valuable to you. So that is part of my purpose, and that is why I'm so excited by this. So our purpose comes from different places. And like I mentioned at the beginning, some people put all of their purpose into, say, their career or their family or how much money they make or success. And that's really unbalanced and can cause stress, discomfort, all the bad things if we're unbalanced. So I'm going to share 3 areas with you that should be more or less balanced, and they are balanced for most people once we can identify what they are or what we want them to be. So the 3 areas are being. So let me give you some examples. I think I'm just looking at my list here. I have 10 examples total, and there's obviously so many more. There's endless examples, but I'm going to give you some examples for each of these 3 areas to help you start thinking about what yours are. Okay, so be, it's like a sense of being. And a couple examples that I wrote down for you are being happy with your environment. So, are you happy with where you live? Are you happy with your surroundings? And I've shared personally, for me, I moved over 2 years ago now from California, from the Bay Area to Scottsdale, Arizona. And just that environment shift was huge on my purpose, my well-being, everything. So having a different environment makes such an impact, and this is not discussed enough in the self-development world, which is why I bring it to you. So a part of my coaching style is to not only focus on the inner world, like our mental health and mental stuff, identity work, mindset, all of that is obviously so important. But what often gets ignored in the self-development space is environment and also beauty, style. So that is exactly why I include it all. Mindset, like basically your inner world mindset with your outer world. So how you're dressing yourself, how you're doing your makeup, your hair, and then your environment, because it's so important. It really creates your purpose, your identity, and it's everything. So being. Sorry for that tangent. I feel like I'm going on lots of tangents today. Hopefully this feels like maybe happy hour instead of a very serious lecture. I hope. Let me know. Let me know if you like this style. You can send me a DM, you can send me an email, whatever. Okay. So being satisfied, happy, you love your environment. That is an example of B, the category B. Another one is being happy with your physical energy, your health. Obviously, we don't all have full control of this, but the best we can in having that physical energy is another example of being. Next category is doing. So we have being, and now we have doing. Some examples of doing are being in service to others, giving back. Maybe you volunteer or you want to volunteer. And this is a big one for me, is being in service to others. Like I said, that is part of my purpose, is helping you find yours. Raising a family, expressing yourself through art, creativity, whatever it is that you like to do to be creative. Doing work that you find personally fulfilling, sharing your wisdom, mentoring others. So this kind of goes with service, but sharing, putting yourself out there. This can also kind of feed into that creativity piece that I shared as well. The last part is having or have. And this part I like to think about spirituality. So having a sense of a trust in God or higher power, knowing what you want to be remembered for. When I ask clients this question, because there are a lot of questions that I will ask you if we work one-on-one together to find your purpose. And this is a question that makes people really, really think. It often makes people very, very emotional, is what do you want to be remembered for? And think about that. What is your essence? And we'll talk about your essence in a minute. Having a sense of gratitude. So those are some examples of having. So those are 10 different kind of prompts, a list of different ways to start tapping into what it is your purpose is in those 3 areas, to have a very balanced, great idea of what your purpose is. Now for the formula. This is so fun. So I created this formula for you to start plugging and playing with your purpose. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, I will have this for you for free. You can download it. It comes along with the quiz, so you can just plug and play there. You don't have to write this down. So here it is. I'm going to share it. It is E plus V equals P. Okay, what the heck does that stand for? First E is essence. What is your essence? So our essence is our natural qualities. Like, what were you born with? What is your spirit? What is your essence, right? So some people are very kind. Some people are very loving. Some people are powerful or radiant. That is their essence. Like the vibe essentially that they give off. And we feel the energy just by being around them or just by talking to them. And there was a really cool activity that we did with my coaching cohort peers when I was going through my coaching program, is we all shared what each other's essence were, according to each individual person. And what was so interesting was that pretty much everyone received the same message regarding their essence in some different words, but mine, that I'm just so grateful for this, because sometimes it's hard to know when we think about ourselves, but mine, what I got back from them, but also from my coach, and I didn't tell her this. I told her after she shared with me, but they all said the same thing about me. So I'm just going to share mine, is that my essence is being nurturing. So when people speak with me, friends in coaching relationships, is they get that nurturing energy for me and safety. And that just, I almost cried just hearing that. It just meant so much to me. So I encourage you to maybe ask around, because like I said, it can be hard to know, like, what is the energy that people feel when they are around you. So essence is number one, and you can list more than one. Maybe it's more than one word, but just for the sake of time, I'm just giving you mine. So first E is essence. Mine is nurturing. Second E is exciting. So what do you find exciting? What are you passionate about? For me, that's mentoring, coaching, learning, teaching, connecting. It's style, it's beauty. So those are some of my passions and things that I find very exciting. And then V is values. Did you think you were going to hear an episode of this podcast without me mentioning values? I made it to the very end. I talk about values all the time because they are so important. So E plus V. So values. Knowing what your core values are is so important as you know your purpose. And mine are, or some of them, I'm not listing all of them. Some of mine are integrity, fun, generosity, gratitude, and peace. So that's E plus V equals P is your purpose. And when I send this to you, if you download it, you can then kind of start writing out what that purpose is. But I hope that all of this information today was insightful, helpful. A lot of the time we hear about purpose and it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to put this into practice. I don't know what my purpose is. I know these little pieces about myself, or maybe you don't. And it's something to work with a coach on, or it's something to journal about. It's something to reflect on and meditate on, whatever it is, or pray. But to just kind of put it all together is something I'm so excited to share with you. So I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope it was maybe a little bit fun too, because when we know our purpose, we can live in alignment. And when we can live in alignment, we feel peace, we feel happy, we feel joy, all the good things. So that is all I have for you today. Hope you loved it. If you did, I would be so grateful if you would share this episode with somebody that you think would enjoy it. I would also love if you could give me a 5-star review on iTunes. That helps me out so much. And with that, I will chat with you next week. Bye.